to Disney World.
Today.
All that more next on NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw, and we'll see you back here at 6.
Flight 990, the first look at the black box pulled from the sea. What clues it reveals to investigators. Lifeline, a breakthrough for millions. A common drug for blood pressure may help prevent deadly heart attacks. In depth tonight, apologies from students expelled for fighting, but still a question. With schools on a tripwire, what is the right punishment for violence? And Home of the Brave. They were teenagers, too young to fight, but that didn't stop them. Why so many lied to save the world.
From NBC News World Headquarters in New York, this is NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw.
Good evening. Well, tonight, the mystery deepens. Experts have now analyzed information on the flight data recorder from Egypt Air Flight 990, and in their preliminary findings, it was an uneventful flight until what? That remains the big question tonight. We begin with NBC's Robert Hager at the NTSB on what the experts know so far, and more important, what they don't know. Robert?
Tom, remarkable. That flight data recorder indicates that the plane didn't just suddenly fall out of the sky. Instead, the pilot started by flying it down, disconnecting the autopilot that automatically guides the plane and putting the plane into a very steep descent. Maybe because of a mechanical problem, or maybe some officials say because someone broke in the cockpit and forced him to do it. The flight data recorder is still being examined tonight, right up there in the NTSB laboratory. The mangled data recorder shown to reporters for the first time late this afternoon. In spite of its condition, the information on it important. NTSB Chairman James Hall.
The first event we note is the autopilot disconnecting. About 8 seconds later, the airplane begins what appears to be a controlled descent. Data recovered so far indicates the airplane descending to about 19,000 feet.
The recorder quits about 10 seconds later, before the plane rises again in the sky and later breaks up. So investigators will still need information off the second recorder, the cockpit voice recorder, to determine more about just what was happening. This recorder does answer one other question.
There is no evidence of thrust reverser deployment in the data we have.
So was it some other mechanical problem that caused the pilot to descend and eventually brought the plane down? Or an act of terrorism, a bomb, or hijackers? For that, investigators need that other recorder. So today, 60 miles at sea, search ships were racing bad weather, trying to locate the other black box, the cockpit voice recorder. Deep diving cameras scouring the bottom in 10-foot seas and near gale winds. And with a forecast of worse to come, there's a threat the whole operation may be put on hold until Friday. When and if the voice recorder is found, it should have on it the voices and sounds of all that went on in the cockpit. Should tell us whether there was any intruder or if there was a mechanical problem, perhaps some shouted reference to it by the pilot. Tom?
Thanks very much, NBC's Robert Hager tonight. And in the world of medicine and public health tonight, a major announcement. A drug that was already widely used is now likely to become even more popular because it appears it could be a major weapon against heart attacks. NBC's chief science correspondent Robert Bazell has our special Lifeline report.
An amazing finding that will affect millions of Americans, saving hundreds of thousands of lives every year.
This is going to have an enormous impact on the practice of medicine.
Today's study used a class of drugs called ACE inhibitors, already on the market to treat high blood pressure. But the latest results find that drugs can actually help almost all of the 12 million Americans with heart disease, reducing their chances of death and progression of the disease.
We can dramatically reduce the risk of dying, having heart attacks, or having a stroke.
Researchers around the world recruited almost 10,000 people, 55 and older, at high risk for heart disease. Doris Lucas volunteered for the study. She underwent a triple bypass in 1990. Half the patients got a daily dose of an ACE inhibitor called Altase. half a placebo, a dummy pill. How much did the drug help? A lot.
We got clear results, and there is no question of the findings that we have.
In people taking the drug, risk of death down by almost 1/4, heart attack down by 1/5, stroke down by 1/3, and a completely unexpected benefit, new cases of diabetes down by 1/3.
That was the most surprising part for us, the prevention of diabetes.
Another big result, fewer people need operations to clear clogged arteries. Now about 600,000 Americans get bypass operations every year, and another 600,000 undergo angioplasties at a cost of more than $10 billion a year. What does the drug cost? About $40 a month for each patient. Side effects?
By and large, the drug is really quite safe.
Doctors predict that ACE inhibitors will be just as important as cholesterol-lowering medication or a daily dose of aspirin in reducing the risk of heart disease. But it's not a question of one or the other. People can take all of the medications together, and the benefits add up. About 470,000 Americans now die each year of heart disease. With today's results, experts predict a substantial drop in the nation's #1 killer. Robert Bazell, NBC News, New York.
At the same time tonight, the controversy over prescription drug prices is continuing, now with a big political twist. More on that from NBC's Lisa Myers.
The only thing that slows down college senior Eric Doswald, allergies. His doctor prescribed Claritin, which helps, but he can't afford the $100 a month.
Completely unfair. I don't think anyone has a right to keep drugs off the counter at a decent price for the consumers. I don't think it's fair at all.
A cheaper, generic version of the drug, costing 1/3 as much, is supposed to be available in 2 years. That's when the patent expires. But now, in a classic case of how Washington works, the company that makes Claritin is spending millions in hopes of getting Congress to create a board that could extend that patent for 3 years. At stake, critics say, more than $7 billion directly out of the pockets of consumers.
To suggest that this company is going to continue to make billions of dollars of profits at the expense of senior citizens and families across America is an outrage.
Today's senators who say drug prices are too high asked the president to stop special treatment for Claritin.
Claritin's only a tiny little pill, but the impact is pretty darn big.
Also big, the lobbying blitz by the manufacturer, Shearing Plow. It loaned its executive jet like this to the man who chairs a key committee, Senator Orrin Hatch, to help him run for president. Hatch reimbursed the company as the law requires. Still, it's a big favor.
It's perfectly legal. I've done everything, I've been scrupulously observant of all the legalities there.
Documents also reveal the company spent $11 million for an army of lobbyists to work the halls of Congress. And it increased campaign contributions, more than $1 million to Republicans, $300,000 to Democrats. That includes a $50,000 check in May to a Democratic campaign fund headed by Senator Robert Torricelli. The very next day, Torricelli introduces the bill to help Claritin. The senator's staff calls the timing a coincidence. A consumer watchdog group calls it all, quote, insidious and unprecedented.
Money talks is business as usual on Capitol Hill, but for this much money to be talking so loudly is, I think, the distinction that is a difference.
The company declined to be interviewed, but points out in a statement the bill would not automatically extend the patent and would make up for time the company lost waiting for the government to approve the drug. Still ahead, a massive fight over a tiny pill with billions of dollars at stake. Lisa Myers, NBC News, the Capitol.
Still ahead here tonight, delivering the goods. United Parcel Service, UPS, takes its business public on the stock market today, and its employees are in for a huge windfall.
This is like a big payoff day right here.
I'm hoping I can retire young.
The largest public stock offering ever on Wall Street. Who's getting rich? And NBC News in-depth tonight. That fight at a high school game. Did authorities overreact when they threw 6 students out of school?
Why do I have Aflac insurance on top of my regular health insurance? Because he has his mother's eyes. Because I still have to teach him to whistle. And because Aflac helps cover what other insurance doesn't. If I'm injured, Aflac even provides cash to help pay bills. So why do I have Aflac? Did I mention he has his mother's eyes? Aflac supplemental insurance. Without it, no insurance is complete.
Suffering from nasal congestion? A new kind of relief is about to be revealed. Introducing Natravent, the only preservative-free nasal spray. For long-lasting relief, new Natravent. No preservatives, fast relief.
So instead of paying a separate commission every time you trade, you'd pay an annual fee, trade all you want.
All I want?
Yeah, virtually unlimited.
Oh, really?
Remember the financial plan we're working from here, Dad. The point is long-term capital appreciation.
I know.
You just don't want you sitting by the computer all day buying and selling stocks.
Yeah. Show me how I log on to your research.
Oh, that's easy. Yeah, investing is serious business, Dad.
I promise I'll do my homework, okay?
This delicious green bean casserole is not the only way to enjoy French's French fried onions. Even standard spuds become a savory side dish.
Our very own cook.com.
Smile, you've got French's.
Why is it that superheroes never have kids? Does changing diapers get in the way of fighting crime? Or could there be a simpler explanation? Maybe superheroes just have a hard time finding a family sedan that the bad guys won't laugh at. The Mitsubishi Galant, ranked the #1 family sedan under 20 grand by Car and Driver. Battle Evil. Bring the kids.
A brutal crime.
When it was all over, I had 2 people dead at my feet.
Now a confessed killer's shocking request.
I think every child has the right to know who his real parents are, even one who's done what I've done.
Tonight at 11 on Northwest News Channel 8, where the news comes first.
Meteorologist Matt Savino, weeknights on News Channel 8.
NBC News in depth tonight. Does the punishment fit the crime? Are school officials across the country coming down too hard these days on kids who act up, all in the wake of the Columbine tragedy? Right now, the focus is on Decatur, Illinois, where 6 students, all of them black, were originally tossed out of school for 2 years after a fight at a high school football game. But in an attempt to protect other students, did the authorities in Decatur go too far? NBC's Pete Williams tonight reporting in depth.
Decatur's 3 high schools open today for the first time since Jesse Jackson made the expulsion of 6 students there a federal case. At a town meeting last night, the students apologized in public and promised no repeat of the mid-September fight they're accused of starting at a high school football game. School officials have now disclosed that 7 bystanders were hurt in the melee. Jackson today kept up the pressure on the school to soften its punishment, and the state's top school official worked to find a compromise.
We saw the tape, an ugly school fight, but not as violent as a hockey match or the NBA fight.
Jackson offered a deal allowing the 2 seniors in the group back to school, but all indications are the board wants all the students to stay out all year. The school board's initial decision to expel the 6 for 2 years continues to prompt a national debate on how far schools should go in the name of preventing violence. A big topic today for nationally syndicated radio talk show host Armstrong Williams.
We are being frightened into overreacting against our children.
Some have said we've not reacted enough.
Those kids knew when they involved themselves in that brutal attack and that fight, that mob-type fight, that there would be consequences.
Consequences because Decatur, like 80% of the nation's schools, has a policy of zero tolerance for violence. Since last spring's shooting at Columbine High, many schools have become more aggressive in enforcing similar policies of their own, with long suspensions or expulsions for breaking school rules. Some seem potentially serious, like the case last May of 3 teenagers in Michigan accused of planning a school massacre. The boys say they had no such plans. Nationwide, nearly 4,000 children were expelled for bringing a gun during the 97-98 academic year, more than half of them in high school, a third in junior high. But civil rights groups say schools are now going much further, coming down hard on students for trivial rule violations.
Kids are being expelled or suspended for wearing black clothes, for dyeing their hair blue, all kinds of things. Things that were not being done before. And what I think is happening is people who just panicked.
But given what's happened this week in Decatur, where school officials tonight are reconsidering their policy, many schools are now looking again at how to be fair while taking a firm stand against violence. Pete Williams, NBC News, Washington.
In Eugene, Oregon tonight, there's little debate over the punishment handed down to Kip Kinkle, who was sentenced to 112 years in prison for murdering his parents and opening fire at his high school, where he killed 2 students and wounded 25. One of them was 17-year-old Jennifer Aldridge, shot in the hand. Today she was relieved and happy when she spoke to reporters after the sentencing.
He's in there for his life, and we don't have to worry about him getting out, having to threaten us again, showing up to school, and when one day when any of us have kids, we never have to send him to school thinking he's going to take revenge. So it's a tremendous relief.
In court, the judge told Kinkle that if he was a model prisoner and helped others behind bars, that one day his 112-year sentence could be commuted. Up next, a special delivery. UPS goes public. Investors and the men and women in those brown uniforms have a whole lot more green tonight. And later, the home of the brave, 4 men look back on the time when they were too young to serve. So they lied to go to war, and they helped save the world.
About free computers, but we haven't actually seen one. Not one with a monitor, 24-hour tech support, and the year of AOL included, like a Gateway PC with an Intel Celeron processor. Call 1-800-GATEWAY. For $28 a month, it's a PC you can believe in.
6 months ago, I wouldn't have considered doing this.
Introducing PharmaSure Joint Formula with ingredients that help rebuild existing cartilage.
We made it.
PharmaSure, inspired by life, created by science. Only at GNC, Rite Aid, and Drugstore.com.
We never thought we'd use OnStar for snakes.
I just hate snakes.
Yeah, traveling through Arizona, we blew a front tire. It shot off the road, and I looked down at the ground. It is crawling with rattlesnakes.
It was unbelievable.
I pushed the OnStar button. Within seconds, the OnStar advisor pinpointed our location and sent a tow truck.
Call the paramedics.
Yeah, and kept talking because we
hate snakes.
Yeah.
The one-touch connection to people who can help.
OnStar.
Call 1-800-OnStar-7.
Based on reactions so far, new banana strawberry Nutri-Grain twist bars seem to be creating quite a stir. Could be the banana, could be the strawberry. But we've got a hunch it's the unique way they're twisted together. That's why we did it. New banana strawberry Nutri-Grain twist bars. A twist you can't resist.
I may look young, but I still suffer from hot flashes. I discovered a natural way to deal with it. New Healthy Woman from the makers of Monistat. Healthy Woman's a soy menopause supplement that helps relieve hot flashes in a natural way. New Healthy Woman.
Good morning, Mr. Schwab.
Morning.
Introducing Velocity from Schwab, the new incredibly powerful online trading software system. With the power to place multiple orders at one time, it's fast and smart. And, if you'll pardon the expression, cool.
Tomorrow and today, Steven Spielberg and Tom Hanks are teaming up again, this time to be honored by the Navy. We'll talk to them about that and more tomorrow on Today. It's like today, only later. Later today, weekdays on NBC.
The next time a worker in a brown truck pulls up to your curb with a package, you may want to get to know them better. They could be rich. That's because UPS, United Parcel Service, went public today in the biggest initial public stock offering ever. And yes, the UPS IPO really delivered. NBC's chief financial correspondent is Mike Jensen.
On Wall Street today, with all the hoopla of a Hollywood premiere, UPS starts selling its stock to the public. And within seconds, an estimated 10,000 UPS managers, pilots, drivers, executives, and retirees become instant millionaires.
Tremendously excited. It's a great day. We're having fun.
Until today, the 92-year-old company was owned by its employees. Now anyone can buy a piece of it. The biggest profits going to longtime employees, retirees, and executives like James Kelly, the chairman, between the moment he rang the opening bell at the stock exchange this morning. with UPS stock at $50 a share. And the close of trading today, with the stock at 68, he raked in an extra $3.5 million.
This is like a big payoff day right here.
UPS's 330,000 employees are under orders not to talk about their specific stock holdings. But they did talk about how much today's public sale means to them. An astonishing 80 million shares traded. David Brown in New York City.
It's victory. You know what I mean? It's about time.
Jephthah Preston at the Atlanta headquarters.
I'm hoping I can retire young.
Fernando Rosado in New York.
It means my daughter's going to get a good college education, that's for sure. Maybe I'll see a nice big house later on.
Jimmy Rivera of Brooklyn tracks the price of the stock the way he usually tracks packages.
Well, I was just recently notified. Went up to 67.
At that price, some workers are heading for early retirement, says Terry Samuels in California.
Probably they'll be sending their notice in by the first of the year.
An amazing success story, an old line company rushing into the 21st century, delivering 55% of all the merchandise sold on the internet, and now as the newest company traded on the New York Stock Exchange, profiting from the greatest bull market in history and taking its workers along for the ride. Mike Jensen, NBC News, New York.
As for the rest of the market, it was a mixed day. The Dow was down 19.5 points following an inflation report that made blue chip investors nervous. NASDAQ was back to its winning ways, however. Tech stocks driving it up almost 31 points. I'll be right back. The home of the brave, men who lied about their age so they could risk their young lives in war and help save the world.
In the last 13 years, Nicorette helped over 1 million people help themselves stop smoking. And that was the reason that convinced me to use Nicorette. All these people knew it was safe and effective. Nicorette delivers a low level of nicotine fast to help control cravings without the tars and toxins found in cigarettes. And Nicorette was proven safe and effective in more clinical trials than any other product. Just the idea that Nicorette had helped all those people made me feel that Nicorette was the right choice for me in the end. Which it was.
Nicorette helps you fight your cravings, your habit, your way. You can do it. Nicorette can help.
Want to color your gray beard or mustache and look natural? Get Just for Men Gel.
You look so natural, no one can tell with Just for Men Gel.
Brush in and in 5 minutes, gray is gone.
No one can tell with Just for Men Gel.
Now there's a Chevy Venture with flip and fold seats and a built-in entertainment system.
I knew I should have taken a left turn at Albuquerque.
Fun things are bound to happen when Chevy and Warner Brothers get together. Introducing the new Warner Brothers edition from Chevy Venture, the most versatile minivan ever. One quick call can help you learn more.
Let's go!
6 months ago, I wouldn't have considered doing this. Today, it's a different story.
Introducing PharmaSure Joint Formula. Scientifically formulated with ingredients that help rebuild and renew existing knee and hip cartilage.
99, 100. Whew, we made it.
Grandma, where's Bunny?
Oh, you're kidding.
PharmaSure, inspired by life, created by science. Only at GNC, Rite Aid, and Drugstore.com.
Everyone knows what it's like to be congested, but now there's a new kind of relief. New Afrin No Drip nasal spray. Ordinary sprays drip. Afrin No Drip targets congestion and stays there for fast, powerful relief. New Afrin No Drip.
This Social Security measure.
In 1935, FDR helped millions of Americans retire with less worry. Today, we're picking up where he left off. Introducing the Retirement Income Manager from T. Rowe Price, a unique advisory service that helps you determine how much of your retirement savings you can comfortably spend each month for the rest of your life. The Retirement Income Manager. We believe FDR would have approved. Call 1TRP4RETIRE for more information.
You know him as a leading man, but now see how Michael Douglas once had a very different role in Hollywood.
Headliners and Legends with Matt Lauer, tonight on MSNBC.
This weekend on National Geographic Explore, fake leopards on the ground are scary. Wait till you see dinosaurs in the air. An amazing new discovery on Explore, Saturdays and Sundays on CNBC.
Tonight we continue our series on the World War II generation. We call it the home of the brave. They saved the world. Tonight, those who sneaked into that generation. They were too young to enlist, but not too young to hear the call. So they found a way. As NBC's Fred Francis tells us, some were not just joining up, they were running away.
4 Americans, veterans of World War II. They were strangers then in Italy, Japan, Germany, and Guadalcanal. But now they've all come together, proud to share a secret each had 50 years ago. None was supposed to go to war. They were too young, but lied to get in. Billy Trero was legally way too young to join. But the recruiting posters were irresistible.
I would watch that poster and I said, I'm going to join the Marines when I get big enough.
But at 13, he was big, but looked very young. There was real pride in serving, doing their part, so thousands not old enough to graduate high school lied to help save their country, and sometimes even escaped from their own lives. Bill Bruton, then 15, says he came from a cruel home, but like so many young men, needed his parents' permission to join. So what was your motivation?
I knew that if I stayed at home, that I would probably spend the rest of my life in penitentiary for killing my daddy.
Chick Mason had just turned 15 when he lied to join the Navy.
They didn't record births in Oklahoma and Texas on a regular basis, and everybody knew that.
He preferred war over hard work and bad pay on a farm.
We were sharecroppers, and so it was a pretty rough life. I'd worked all of my life.
Decaying military barracks. For some of the underagers, buildings like this, built in the 40s, became their first real homes. They were children of the Depression, some of them abandoned, some abused. They were looking to belong. The military gave them a home. Carl Goodman was 16. Like many, he was shocked by the realities of boot camp. But he would serve a long career in the Army and always worried he would be found out and drummed out.
My case, it was horrible. Very scared. Stayed that way for 22 years. I'd be found out.
I was like a kid in a candy store. I had never had as many new clothes as they gave me that first day in boot camp. I even had 2 pairs of shoes.
Your commander knew you were 13?
He knew I was 13.
Knew you were the #1 machine gunner?
Knew I was the gunner.
And let you stay?
Right. And I was discharged 21 days before I was old enough to join.
But Bill's story would end in humiliation instead of heroism. They found out you had lied.
Yes, sir. After I was court-martialed, there was a squad of drummers and a chief bosun's mate that walked me to the gate in my uniform. And they took a pair of shears, cut the uniform off of me, even the shorts that I had on.
It's almost as emotional for you now as it was then.
This is my family. This is my family.
Still family, still heroes. A small lie to change a life and save the world. Fred Francis, NBC News, Mesquite, Texas.
And tomorrow on Veterans Day, we'll have a special Home of the Brave, a reunion more than 50 years later between an Army nurse and one of the men that she cared for. That's Nightly News for Wednesday. Don't forget Dateline tonight at 8, 7 Central. I'm Tom Brokaw, and I'll see you back here tomorrow night.
Nightly News is a presentation of NBC News. More Americans watch NBC News than any other news organization in the world. From KJW, where the news comes first, this is Northwest News Channel 8 at 6.
You know, I'm glad that I'm finished with it.
He just took 2 years of my life away that can never be replaced as being a kid.
The question of why isn't important anymore.
A victory tonight for the victims. The sentence is handed down today. Kip Kinkle will spend 111 years behind bars. This is our top story. Good evening. I'm Carol Jensen.
And I'm Tracy Berry. Thank you for being with us. We have live team coverage tonight.
Russ Lewis is here with victim reaction, but we begin with Tom Fuller. He's live at